Welcome to the Third Sector. My name is Eric Marsh. I'm Executive Director of Whitewater Community Television, guest host this month for the Third Sector, a program that focuses on the not-for-profits that are doing some great work in the Wayne County area and beyond. Sitting in for Rachel Hughes, our thoughts and prayers are with Rachel as she deals with family loss. So she should be back in this chair next time around. But Rachel, we are thinking about you. She had scheduled to speak with folks from Independent Living Centers of Eastern Indiana. We're going to break this into two segments, and we're going to start with Jim McCormick. Jim, thank you for taking time and coming to talk to us.
Well, our pleasure. Thank you for asking us, Eric. Really means a lot.
Give us a little bit of background on the Independent Living Centers. We were talking a little bit ahead, and I was asking whether the legislation that kind of created your organization was a state or a federal thing. You were telling me federal and the power of one person.
Absolutely.
Go into a little detail on that.
Well, the story behind independent living is really a philosophy more than a program. And the roots of independent living can really be traced back to a guy named Ed Roberts. And Ed had some pretty significant mobility issues, but he also applied at University of California, Berkeley, and he pretty much neglected to tell them that he had significant mobility issues. So he was admitted, and when he showed up, the folks there said, well, the only place we can put you up is in the infirmary. And he said, no, you admitted me as a student. I want to share the college experience. And so from that, Ed was an incredible organizer, incredibly passionate about the rights of people with disabilities. Mm-hmm. And from Ed's advocacy, not only as a student, but then later on as an attorney and a member of the California General Assembly, went on to really spark an entire movement where there are two real fundamental beliefs. The first one is that people with disabilities are really in the best and most knowledgeable position to talk about their needs and what they need in order to remain independent in the community. And the other thing is that because people with disabilities are in charge of their programs, there's no such thing as rejecting people with disabilities from programs. It's kind of like a zero reject model. We, and by we I mean our staff at the center, really work for the consumers who we serve, which is very different from what most folks are exposed to. By and large, your physician is in charge of your health care plan, your mental health clinician is in charge of your mental health program. Mm-hmm. But with independent living, it's very different. The consumer is really in charge. And I'll give you a really good example of that. A few years ago, one of our staff members had worked to get one of our consumers enrolled in a wonderful low vision program that Bosma Industries in Indianapolis offers, and had laid all the groundwork, made all the arrangements for overnight stays, because it's a 6-week program and all. And just a few days prior to her going to Bosma and attending the program, mm-hmm. she decided, this really isn't for me. I'm not ready to do this. In a lot of other programs, there would have been a lot of pressure put on. No, you've got to go. There's a cost for this.
Arrangements have been made.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. And much to the credit of our center, we said, oh, okay, well, what do we need to do now? And we'll figure another path. We'll figure some other program services. The really interesting thing was a few months later down the road, she said, I'm ready now. Let's go with that program at Bosma. And indeed, she attended and was very successful in completing it. But that's kind of the essence of our program. It really is devoted to and really works very hard at making sure that people with disabilities are really in charge of their own programs.
You mentioned your staff. Talk about your staff a little bit and the area that they cover. Are you all just Wayne County?
No, we sure aren't. There are really two programs within the center. One is our older independent blind program, which serves folks who are above the age of 55 and are dealing with pretty significant vision loss or vision issues. The other program is our independent living program, And there really are no age restrictions on that program at all. Our youngest consumer now is about 3, and our oldest is about 100, 101, 102 years old.
Wow.
And last year we served close to, or I'm sorry, this year we'll serve close to 700 folks. It's the counties around us, and watch, I'll always leave somebody out, and not the, you know, when you make a list.
Naming them.
Yeah, absolutely. But it's Henry, Franklin, Fayette, Rush, Decatur, Union, and then ourselves in Wayne.
Okay.
And then a few years ago, the state of Indiana came to us. Our older independent blind program has quite a reputation in the state, a very positive reputation in the state. And so the state came to us with some extra money during the days of the America Reinvestment and Recovery Act. The state had gotten some extra ERA dollars, and asked us if we could develop a program for low vision consumers down in 6 southeastern Indiana, really rural counties. So we collaborated with a small organization down there and have really wound up serving folks, and I'll just do the towns rather than the counties, but we're from Lawrenceburg to Madison up to North Vernon, and then Versailles, Rising Sun, so a number of really small communities.
Right.
But the need, of course, is really very, very dramatic. When Jackie Speicher, whom you'll meet a little bit later, first began working on the program down in that part of the state, she actually saw that there were consumers who, for no insurance or no money available to them, hadn't had an eye exam in 15, 20 years. And so that's one of the things that we're able to provide for folks, really at no cost to the individual. The no-cost piece comes from 2 really very supportive contracts that we have with Family and Social Services Administration here in Indiana. And they contract with us to provide independent living services or older independent blind services to citizens in what amounts to now a 13-county area for us.
How long has this organization been functioning in this area?
We started, centers are really amazing because they start as a grassroots effort. And so our center got started with a group of citizens back in 1998. And the group began meeting, they incorporated as a not-for-profit, got an okay from the IRS, and then began kind of building local support, both financial and real, that allowed them to really kind of open the doors. And we shared space many years ago with the folks who are now Work One and Voc Rehab. And then from there, we just kind of began to grow. We've been at 1818 West Main Street now for, oh my goodness, 10, 12 years, maybe even a little bit longer than that. I've been with the center about 9 years, so there's some prehistory that I'm not 100% sure on in terms of our location. But we've been there, and our major service program is at 1818 West Main. Okay. And then we have a couple of small administrative offices down with the United Way here. They've been kind enough to share some office space with us for our administrative stuff. But all the program staff and all the program areas up at 1818 West Main. So
for the region that you talked about, are all your program staff for the most part is there on West Main Street?
Is there on West Main Street, but we cover primarily those 7 counties around us.
Right.
So we have one staff member, Missy, and Missy has, oh my heavens, Rush, Decatur, Union, and Franklin counties, and also Fayette. And then Henry and Wayne are really kind of divided up amongst the rest of our staff.
You're watching The Third Sector. We're speaking with Jim McCormick, CEO of Independent Living Centers of Eastern Indiana. Talk a little bit about where some of your referrals come from, where some of your clients come from. People who just walk in, are you getting phone calls from family members, doctors? How do people get referred to you?
That's it. You've nailed them all, Eric. Next question. So no, we really are very fortunate. ours is almost a word-of-mouth business. One of the things that the center does, and I think we do really well, is connect folks with disabilities with other people who have disabilities. It's one of our core services, which is called peer support. And there is a lot of uncertainty, not only with families who have a young person, a child who has a disability, but a lot of uncertainty for folks who have a recently acquired disability, either through an accident, an automobile accident, stroke, other health-related issues. And sometimes referral agencies, rehab centers, nursing homes, hospitals can kind of deal with the needs of the individual while they're in the facility. But there's always such a huge jump between the facility and getting somebody back home and getting their home ready for them. So when we do that for one, chances are always really pretty good that they're going to share their story with someone else. And so for us, a big part of it is word of mouth. But that word of mouth also exists within the medical community as well. Jackie Speicher, again, had mentioned to me that we had received 74 different referrals from healthcare providers for our low vision program last year. And that's, when you look at over the course of the last 7-8 years, that's some pretty remarkable growth. And Jackie will hopefully tell you a really great story about some of her own experiences with her low vision specialist and how he kind of turned around from thinking we were practicing optometry without a license to now saying to consumers, have you been to the Independence Center? Well, you need to go see those people first. So it's really been pretty remarkable in that regard.
As the executive director of a not-for-profit, I know that extra hands, volunteers are always welcome here. We've got less than a minute. If someone wants to help you out, how do you connect with the community? Can people volunteer time to help you do this? Is there special training that they need?
I could say yes to all of that. The work that we do is so different in so many respects because it's consumer driven. And if folks are interested in learning more about us and quite possibly providing some assistance, please contact myself or Jackie or Tracy who are going to follow us. Our phone number is 765-939-9226. I'm at extension 101. Like I said, we're at 1818 West Main Street, so the door is, if the lights are on, we're open.
You're always there.
And we have a wonderful website. That's another great way to get in contact with us is through our website. Okay. And then Tracy also manages our Facebook page as well, and so we have a lot of folks who follow our adventures through Facebook as well. So there are lots of ways that people can get in contact with us.
Hopefully people will look you up. You've mentioned a couple of people, Jackie in particular.
Yes.
So we're going to kick you out of your chair.
Sounds
Take
great.
a minute, bring them in, and continue the conversation. Jim, thanks for being with us today.
My pleasure, Eric. Thank you so much. We'll
be back in just a moment with more of The Third Sector. Welcome back to The Third Sector. We're talking today about the Independent Living Centers of Eastern Indiana and the aforementioned Traci Taylor, Director of Independent Living Services, and Jackie Speicher. You got great kudos in the first half of this show. Director of Chapter 2 Services have joined us. There's a lot on the table that we want to get to, but first, Traci, we'll start with you. Tell us what your area does in particular and what you specialize in.
Sure. Well, as you mentioned, I'm the director of the Independent Living Services Program, and that basically encompasses any age and any disability with any need. So we do a lot of thinking outside the box, a lot of creative ideas around working with disabilities. We also do a great deal of assistance in the schools We assist folks, families with the individual education plans, the IEPs. We also assist folks who are graduating from high school and moving on to the adult life.
So when
whatever
Jim
that-
mentioned a very young person, I forget what
Yes,
age
about
he
3
said,
years
about
old.
3 years old, that falls into your lap.
Yes. Yep.
Okay.
Yep. I work with everybody from 3 on up, and even those with vision disabilities who are under 55. And when they turn 55, then they kind of go over to Jackie's program.
Oh, okay.
But we work closely together to ensure that that's a seamless connection for them.
Okay. And Jackie, as the director of Chapter 2 services, gotta love federal programs with the names of, what are Chapter 2 services?
It's also called Older Blind and Visually Impaired Services.
Okay.
And we work with people 55 and older who have had vision loss and who are trying to get the tools they need to help them to either maintain or regain their independence after they've lost vision.
Jim mentioned that you picked up through your program some additional counties because of the great work that you had done in that way. What is it that you've been able to do that really kind of helped build that program?
Well, we are able to provide all kinds of vision aids, from very simple things like things to use in the kitchen to help one cook despite the fact that one's vision is poor, to bathroom aids, to tools, especially tools for reading, and being able to continue to manage one's finances despite vision loss. And a lot of these tools are not available in any of our communities. So we are almost the only source for that sort of thing, which has caused us to grow tremendously as people have learned that there is help available.
I was asking ahead of time, isn't this something that you can find in other stores and things of that nature? And you said almost where they end, you begin.
Exactly, right. Oftentimes an eye doctor will say to a patient, "I'm sorry, there's nothing more I can do for you." And then people come to us to find that there are tools that they can continue to do the things they love to do. So especially, for instance, even simple things like handheld lighted magnifiers. The typical department store or drugstore will carry them up to 3x. Ours start at 3x and go up to 14x.
Okay. Let's go through some of what you've brought, because some of this is, as people think about their family members, they may be looking around for some of this and not know where to go. So I want to make
Sure.
sure we have plenty of time to get through and let you explain what some of these things are, Traci.
Sure, yes. Well, we brought just kind of a basic sampling of a lot of our most requested items. This little guy, which looks a little funky, but this is actually a doorknob handle extender. You can actually put a round doorknob, you put this over the round doorknob, and it creates a handle. So that way an individual can simply push down on it rather than grasping and turning. You can use an elbow. It's also very helpful for folks with groceries and things in their hands.
Yeah.
They can just kind of push down and open the door instead of grabbing and turning.
Okay.
So
Easy
that's
to
a
fit
very
over
common-
most standard doorknobs?
Oh, yes. Yep. Really easy to install. I can install it, which means it's easy.
Okay.
This is also another popular item. You may see these out and about. These are reachers, and they are wonderful to assist with grabbing things up in the air or down on the ground. The type that we have actually is collapsible, so you can fit it in your luggage
Oh, nice.
or in a lady's purse, in your vehicle. Actually, I have one in my car, and I use it from everything from the bank to getting my prescriptions out of that little box at CVS. So this is very helpful.
Hadn't thought about that.
If you slam on your brakes or brake or take off really hard and things roll underneath the seat, you can grab them that way too. So it's a very universal guy. This is a talking calendar, and a lot of times folks, if they have a lot of doctor's appointments and medical things, or even, they have 1 or 2 doctor's appointments, but they go to bingo and they play euchre and all of those incredible fun things, they can go ahead and put them into this calendar and have a whole year's worth of appointments scheduled. And then they would simply push the little today button, and this will tell them auditorily what their appointments are for the day. So this is a very handy little guy to have. This is
That's
one
amazing
of our...
that they can have a year's worth of
Yes.
information
Yep.
in
Yep.
there at
And
their
you
fingertips.
can skip, you can do it weekly, you can do it daily, you can do it monthly.
Okay.
So, yeah. This is one of our hottest items. This is actually called a Bellman hearing unit. And what it does is it amplifies similar to a hearing aid, however, it's less metallic. And it actually can be used with a hearing aid. Another really neat aspect of this is you can actually plug this into your television. Actually, you can plug your television into this and hear your television through the headphones at whatever volume works well for you.
Okay.
I had a couple, a nice gentleman who had very difficult time hearing, and his wife has very, very acute hearing. And so they had to watch 2 different televisions. And the first night I brought this over, I got a call the next morning, and the lady, his wife said, he said, I just wanted to thank you because we had the best date night last night. We both sat and watched a movie and ate popcorn together, and he had it as loud as he needed. I had it as soft as I needed, and we both sat there and held hands. And she said, we haven't done that in years.
Nice.
So this little guy, Jim McCormick, who you saw earlier, also calls this the marriage saver. So, and last but not least, thank you, we have a variety of cup holders. This guy can be hooked on to everything from crutches to a walker to a rollator to a scooter to a wheelchair, and you can pivot it for whatever way you need it to sit at. So if you need it to sit sideways, it can be pivoted sideways. It also has these really neat little nubs in the middle which will accommodate the larger cups. So this is just one of the cup holders we have. You'd be surprised at the variety of cup holders out there, but they do all sort of meet different needs.
Sure.
But this is another one of our more common products.
Okay. And you were saying that some of these things, through certain grants or things, you can actually, some of them, you can provide to people for free.
Yes, in fact, most of them. Everything on this table can be provided to our consumers at no cost. Through what we've done is we've taken a portion of our funding and set it aside to provide items directly to the consumers, because many of these things are what allow people to remain independent and safe in their own homes.
Okay.
However, some insurance companies see them as frou-frou items.
Sure.
And we know that they're really more than that. But so, in other words, insurance doesn't always cover these things. And we can provide those items to folks.
Okay. Thank you.
Sure.
Jackie, I'm sure you have a table full of
I do.
items over there, including a clock that I can read from here, probably even if I took my glasses off, which would be normally a difficult thing.
Well, that's good. That's good. It is a great clock. One of the things that often happens when people experience vision loss is that they lose the ability to tell the time and to use the telephone and to read. Those are some key things that they want to be able to continue to do.
Sure.
And this is a very handy-dandy clock.
It is 4:03 p.m.
It will tell, well, I don't know, maybe it is right, but I forgot to set it before we came, but that can be very handy for people.
It's 4:03 somewhere.
Yes, right. And we also have talking watches. And again, you just push the button at the one and it will tell you the time. So these are very popular items that we provide. We also have large button phones, both landlines and cell phones, and some of these are backlit. We also have things like talking caller IDs that can be helpful for people. so that they can continue to use the phone, because many people, after they lose their vision, misdial and are not able to get in touch even with family members and friends. We have other things that make noise. Sometimes when you lose your vision, it's very difficult to pour white milk into a white cup or black coffee into a black cup. And this particular device is very handy because it will tell you when you're getting close to the top of your, it will just let you know you better stop pouring, just like that. Very handy.
Nice. Okay.
We have also, oops, when you touch it, it goes off. We have a lot of kitchen aids, very large, bold print items like these measuring cups. We have knives that have covers on them so someone with low vision won't reach into a drawer and cut themselves. We have talking cooking thermometers. Just a big variety of safety items for the kitchen.
Great.
And as I mentioned, we have the lighted magnifiers that are very helpful. They have very bright lights, and they start at 3x and go up to 14x. So we can provide very good magnification for those who want to read. But in addition, we also have some more expensive items that are in our loaner program. We have now, what, 250 loaner items?
Close to 280.
280 in our loan program, and an individual can borrow something from the loan program as long as it's useful to them at no cost to them. So we have reading machines that are closed circuit televisions where you lay what you want to read on a tray and then you see it on a TV-like screen up above, and you can make the letters as high as the screen is tall if you need to in order to make it readable. And you can also change the background and make white letters on black or yellow letters on blue in order to be able to read more easily. We also have handheld CCTVs that are in our loaner program where the screen is just about this big, and they have all the features of the larger machines, but you can carry it with you to the grocery store. So you can read the labels on the packages, or you can, it has a freeze frame so you can hold it up high if you can't read the prices on the top shelf, or if you can't read the prices down low, and take a freeze frame and then get it up close to your eyes. We have in that program also some other reading devices that are very helpful. We also have for recreation, so that sometimes people lose the ability to play games with their friends because they can no longer see. We have bingo cards of all different sizes of bold print, up to like 12 inches by 17, very large. And then we also have playing cards, bold playing cards, and this is this deck of cards I like the best because every suit is a different color. So I was having trouble telling the blacks apart and the reds apart. I love this because when I play cards with my family, it gives them a handicap, and sometimes I win.
I hate to cut you off because I know that there's probably one or two more things, but unfortunately we are out of time. But I am sure at some point Rachel will have you back because I think there's a lot more information that people can get. They can check out your website, your Facebook page, to get more information. 1818 West Main is where you are located, so hopefully they will see something here that really kind of helps them talk about with family members where they need to go so that they can continue to stay independent and stay in their homes. Ladies, thank you very much for coming in and speaking with us.
Thank you for having us.
And thank you for watching this episode of The Third Sector.